opportunity. So Richard and I did our stats presentation last week on Friday. How many of you guys were able to join us for that? Awesome. The majority of you in here were able to join us for that. And we covered a couple of things from the Tri-County area. Now, I understand it's a little bit small up here and you have access to all of these stats, but I wanted to cover this one right here. This is for detached residences. Our market share as Keller Williams has actually increased a little bit over quarter. We're the number one in market share when you put all the KW offices in South Florida together.
This is just Broward.
This is just in Broward County. We're at 6.2% market share. So give it up for yourselves. There's the good news. Here's some good news too. Our months of supply for single-family residential homes. This is city by city in the area. There's only 2 cities in South Florida right now, in the Broward County area, that are in a buyer's market. That's Hollandale Beach and Southwest Ranches. Jason. Southwest Ranches. Those are the 2 areas that are technically in a buyer's market right now. Now, everything else is either there's a couple of places that are approaching the Fort Lauderdale has approached the balance market. Everything else is still in a seller's market. Yes, sir.
And guys, just as a heads up, he's only talking about detached homes.
Correct. I'm going to get to the condos in just a second, but yes, great point. This is the detached single-family residences, and so here's what that means. That means that the majority of the properties out there are still in a seller's market, and the data that Richard and I shared with you last week is, while yes, in some of these places they're 4.5 months or 3 months or more, that doesn't mean that every single one of the listings that you take has to take that long to sell. As a matter of fact, when you price it right, what was the average days on market, Richard? Like 13 days if you priced it appropriately?
And it sells without a price reduction.
And it sells without a price reduction, exactly.
Sell at or above list price.
Correct, yes. So there are still properties out there that are selling above list price. You have to price it right on the front end and not get it wrong the first time you price it. Otherwise, you're playing the game that's causing a lot of these people to be in these higher days on market. Now let's go over to the condo side. The condos, yeah.
Palm Beach too?
I didn't put Palm Beach in here for this, but yes, it's in the stats.
Okay, good.
You have your own stats for Palm Beach. Break it down for every city as well. Here's where we're at for condos. We have 6% of the market share right here in Broward County. Our closest competitor is Remax at 5.4%. We did make up a little bit of ground on listings in our market share here in Broward County. Now here is the months of supply for Broward County condos. So you can see here that there is a much different graphic than what the single-family homes was. There's much more of the, many more of the cities have higher, are in a stronger buyer's market. Now, let's look at part of the reason why that is. Cooper City, do they have a whole lot of condos? No. Plantation, they have some, but not a ton. Yeah, Margate, not. I mean, there's some there, but if you go and look at Fort Lauderdale, Hollandale, Hollywood Beach, Lauderhill, Lauder Lakes, even Coconut Creek, Sunrise. Yeah, I mean, those are all places that have a higher concentration of condos, which makes sense as to why they're in a stronger buyer's market. Now, I share this stuff with you not to scare you and say, oh my God, it's a buyer's market out there. I share it with you because when we see these numbers right here and we look at it, on the single family home side of things, it's about 46% of all listings, no, 47% of all listings are expiring due to not being priced right with their first agent. And on the condo side of things, it's closer to 56% of all condos are expiring. I have said this so many times and I'm going to say it again. We provide the expired and for sale by owner data for you every single morning. This is a gold mine opportunity that you're sitting on right here in South Florida right now if you want to go and make money. Because there are so many listings that are expiring due to agents who don't have the data that you have, being able to have the conversations based upon numbers and not necessarily upon feelings to help people get over their understanding of what the market actually is. If you chose to call that every single day, you would pick up more listings, I promise you. Because those are people who have raised their hand at some point in time and said, I want to sell. And we know that 75% of those people, about 75% of those people, will relist their property. The question is, are they going to relist it with the same person who got them into the situation that they're in today, where their home didn't sell? Or are they going to list it with somebody like you who has the data to show them, look, doing the same thing again is not going to get you a different result. It's going to get you the same result, and it's just going to put us behind the curve even further. Here's what we actually need to do. Richard, what was that saying that you used to say? It's better to be the second realtor than the third husband or something like that?
Yeah, you want to be the second spouse and the third realtor, something like that.
I think it's something like that. We butchered it either way. There's a saying there.
The point is, if you're not good enough to price it right the first time and get it sold, coming in as the second realtor or even the third realtor after it's expired once or twice, you're telling them the truth and they're more willing to be able to listen to you.
Correct.
And follow your advice.
Because they now know what doesn't work, and you can have the conversation with them about here's what actually will move the needle forward to help you get this sold.
I've got a question for you guys. How many of you understand the concept of working in a niche market? Do you know what a niche market is?
There's some that don't, Richard.
It's a very small, specific market. There was actually, I've known a lot of people over the years that have had very interesting niche markets. Up in Palm Beach County, there was one guy that marketed himself as Mr. Townhouse.
Okay.
That was all he dealt with, was not in a geographic area, but he specialized in townhouses.
He still has the bus benches and stuff.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Long time, lot of bus benches, yes. I met with an agent yesterday who all of her business is in one small community. She's lived there a long time. She knows everybody. She says she has parties in her front yard for 100 people. And that's all that she does. She does no marketing, no advertising, not even working with a sphere. This is just her friend. That's a niche market. So when I look at numbers like this, and when I used to run the Bass Group for Gale and do all of our marketing and advertising, I would use these numbers a lot because I'm looking at it and I'm going, if you had the chance, would you pick Hollandale Beach as a niche market for yourself today? No. No. It's like, why? I would go into one of these neighborhoods, looking at it, going, I'd look at the number, how many are on the market, how many have sold in the last year, and I'm going, if I could start out this year and pick up just 10% of that market share. If you have a neighborhood that's selling 100 homes a year, that's 10 homes that you could potentially sell by focusing on that market.
Yeah.
That's one of the ways that you look at these numbers. This is for your business. We present these for how you can talk to buyers and sellers. Okay? Mm-hmm. But you also want to look at how you develop yourself and how you pick markets. Dan, we were talking about this morning. Rather than working from Key West up to Wellington and going everywhere because you're going to call every expired there is, call just the expireds in the area that you want to focus on.
Yeah.
You'll develop a much stronger business over the long term.
Circle prospecting also allows you guys to determine, I've been saying this for years, right?
Stay up here.
Choose the neighborhoods you guys want to work in, pull those phone numbers for those communities, and just continue to build relationships that way. It helps for the supply and demand analysis, so you know, okay, how many months of supply there is. It also helps you determine what price point you're working at. You you get to choose your salary if you're strategic enough to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, give you an example with that. And when you're specializing in a neighborhood, right, you can learn every single home in that neighborhood. So after you left yesterday, Gail had come into the office.
Yeah.
We had a meeting. I happened to have gotten a phone call.
Oh, yeah, this was interesting, yeah.
And I'm looking at it, and I'm going, this is from Toronto. And I didn't pick it up because they're usually spam calls. But the voicemail message was, this is a RE/MAX agent north of Toronto. His father, who's now elderly, lives in the area that was our main farm area. Gail and I used to live there, which is why he called. She happened to have walked into the office. She sits down. I put it on speakerphone. We have a conversation with him. His father's name is Bert. Gail goes, your mother is Melanie?
Wow.
Gives us the address. She said, yeah, your house backs up to Palmetto. It's in Loggers Run. It's one of the acre estate homes. Gail used to live right around the corner from him. We lived in that neighborhood for years. Do you think that's a totally different conversation you have with somebody who's calling you up and you know nothing about the neighborhood or the house or the people that live there? But because she's specialized in that for so many years, she has sold most of the homes in that neighborhood, but she's been in business 40 years now. You're not there. But think about it. You go into the MLS and you run the neighborhood. Every photograph of every listing that's sold is in the MLS in that neighborhood. You think you can start learning what makes each house different from the other house right next door to it. This is what makes you the specialist. So when you go on a listing appointment or you talk to somebody, you're talking at a totally different level than most of the other realtors out there. Not just about stats. This is about really understanding the heart and soul of a neighborhood and what makes it different.
Yeah. Speaking of where you can get our stats, you can now get them on onwardflorida.com/stats. Our password is focus, all lowercase, 2025. Focus 2025.
Now, from this location, what I showed at the stats presentation, this is where you go and you'll get both the monthly stats and the monthly stats, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, each separate, and each one of those has both single family and condominium. You've got the Tri-County report, which is all three of them blended together.
Yep.
And then what I shared with you is the luxury report. Now, the luxury report is just in the monthly reports. Then you go to the other side of that.
Luxury is just in the quarterly.
No, luxury is now in monthly
Okay,
this month.
got it.
And then you go to quarterly, and it's the same thing. It's what we presented, and it gives you each one of the three counties plus the combined reports. And they've got breakouts for summaries of each of them, and they've got listing presentations for those of you that have not developed your own. All of that is already there for you.
Yeah.
Go play with it, guys. Just explore and see what's in there. You'll be surprised how much information is available to you.
Yeah.